Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kodash. Send double honors to the apostles, the elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all. Came out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua. And sincerity and truth, this brother Ariala. And this lesson is going to be called Great Millstone, True Shepherds, True Sheepdogs for the Flock. And, this is something that we talked about at camp last week, mentioned it. But then it's funny, Apostle Tahar had did a live stream maybe yesterday, day before yesterday, and he was talking about sheepdogs or dogs that are trained to protect the flock, and us being shepherds, because we're meant to follow in the likeness of Yahushua, who is a shepherd of the flock. We being the flock, and those men that come underneath the elect are going to be shepherds of the flock. And the mindset behind that, when you think about a shepherd, I guess the connotation of people really kind of think of it as just like not aggressive in a way. But when you really look at a shepherd, when you really look at sheepdogs that protect the flock, they're aggressive, man. You have to be. There's a manliness behind it. And then even the way the sheepdogs are with the sheep, they're biting at the sheep, barking at the sheep to keep them on the path. And people don't like Great Millstone because we can come off crash, we can come off harsh because we're biting and barking at the sheep of the flock. But it's all out of love and care to make sure that we stay on the path, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the mentality. Even when you look at David, King David, he was a shepherd. And when you think about it, that's what prepared him to be able to fight Goliath, was what he had to do to protect the sheep. You couldn't be no softy, 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 33 says this, and this is in preparation of David being a young man going out to fight the mightiest warrior, of the Philistines in Goliath. And this is his mentality. 1 Samuel 17 and 33 says, and Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. So King David, being a shepherd, went up against lions and bears and slew them. That's a hardcore man, right? So the Most High is raising us up to be shepherds, to be kind of like sheepdogs, to guide the flock. It's a hardcore thing, protecting against these spiritual lions and bears that are coming up against the flocks, right? And so verse 36 says, thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he have defied the armies of the living God, living power. David said, moreover, the Lord had that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with you. So, that's the mentality of a shepherd, man. Willing to go up against the elements, willing to go up against, the most intimidating opposition out there in the world. And that's the mindset that we, as servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua here in Great Millstone, we take on. We take on these things. So I'm going to play this clip from Apostle Tahar and get a couple more clips, and Lord willing, this is edifying.
If you ever watch videos on what they call Kangos, they're sheepdogs, and they want God. They watch them sheep. They're bred to take care of the sheep. And if the enemy comes, which is normally wolves or foxes, they go after them, and they even if the fox or the sheep, the wolf retreats, the kango follows them until he catches them, tracks them down, and he kills them. And sometimes there'll be a what do you call it, a leash or a pack of kangos, might be 4 or 5 of them. They might go after maybe 20 wolves and kill them all. And don't injure them, kill them, straight up kill them. And they'll get injured in the process. And the master that they follow is the man, the man that owns the sheep. So they're bred that way. So we're bred to go after the enemy and kill them, which is these lies, right?
Right. So he's likening us to being followers of Yahushua, the chief shepherd, as his sheepdogs, man. And just like Apostle Hart just mentioned, you know, those kangos and the different breeds of collies and different sheepdogs, man. Look, man, they're relentless and they're hardcore, and we'll come off as hardcore. And you'll think that we're against the flock, how hardcore we are, but we actually are just fighting to keep everybody on the path of following Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now, I went and was just looking at, you know, a quick thing. You know, Esau makes everything goofy, but I want you to listen to this part where it's talking about sheepdogs.
Dogs' herding skills originally came from their ancestral predatory behavior. Through training and selective breeding, humans have modified dogs to retain their hunting skills, but eliminate their killing behavior. Some breeds, like the Australian cattle dog, are called heelers, because they herd by nipping an animal's heels. Other breeds, like the border collie, are called headers, because they run in front of the animals and stare them down. People and dogs co-evolved and have a long history of working together. Humans work with sheepdogs to herd.
Now, when you look at these dogs and you go watch videos of these dogs, they're running at the sheep, they're barking at the sheep, they're nipping at the heels of the sheep. And if you're just watching it, you'd be like, well, shit, the dog, you know, he going crazy. But actually, it's very, very on point, and the sheep basically are led by those dogs, man. So I typed this into Gronk. Why are sheepdogs so aggressive to sheep? And this is what it says. It says sheepdogs, like border collies or Australian shepherds, aren't inherently aggressive towards sheep. They're bred and trained to herd them effectively, just like we're bred and trained to what? Herd the flocks. Who's the flocks? The people. All right? That's what we're meant to do. That's what we were sent out to do. Right? We were trained through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to herd the flock. And that's what, you know, I'm going to go back to this and play a little bit more. That's what this John the 10th chapter is talking about, man. You know, the sheep hearing the good shepherd. All right? And so we're bred to do what? Go out, teach, and herd the flock. It says their behavior might look intense because they use a combination of focus, energy, and controlled assertiveness to move the flock. Right? This can involve nipping at heels, barking, or staring down the sheep to keep them in line, which might seem aggressive to an outsider, but is really just their way of directing the group. That's how we're supposed to be. Because Jake is simple. Sheep are simple, man. They'll fall into a ditch easily. They'll just walk out in the middle of a forest and get ate by a wolf, not paying attention to nothing. So when you watch the Brothers of Great Millstone, they're constantly nipping, barking, and staring down the congregation to keep them in line with the doctrine. Because Jake is simple, man. All right? It says the aggression you're noticing is usually a purposeful trait honed over generations. Right? These dogs come from working lines where their instincts, chasing, corralling, and controlling livestock, were refined to manage herds without causing real harm. Right? They're not trying to hurt the sheep. They're just bossy about keeping them organized. Actual aggression, like biting to injure, would be a fault in training or temperament, not the norm. See? That said, sheep can still get stressed or spooked by a dog's intensity, especially if the dog's inexperienced or the sheep aren't used to it. A good herder balances drive with restraint, and farmers often train them to dial it back if it's too much. If you've seen something specific, blah blah blah, basically that's just the character of sheepdogs. It's gonna look aggressive. We're gonna come teaching Jake, and you'll be like, oh man, But we're supposed to bark. We're supposed to nip. We're not supposed to be lazy, because it takes activity to keep the sheep on point. But you don't have that with a lot of these Israelite groups. And it likens, here in Isaiah 56 likens a lot of these lazy ass these lazy teachers to dogs, man. Right? Isaiah 56:10 says, his watchmen are blind, they are all ignorant, they are all dumb dogs, right? Meaning they don't make any noise. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. And what happens to the congregation? What happens to the flock if you have a dumb dog? What happens to the sheep if the dog is just lazy? Well, they'll be destroyed. Okay? It says, yea, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look their own way, every one for his gain from his quarter. Right? So in this scripture, you have these people, or Jake, being described as dogs and shepherds. And that's our position with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Jeremiah 23:1 says, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Right? And when you watch a video of a sheepdog, they're making sure, like, if even one sheep kind of goes off the path, you'll see that collie break out in a full-blown run to get that sheep back into the pack and keep everybody corralled. All right? You got to be on point dealing with Israel, man. That's why you see brothers constantly doing these videos. What is that doing? That's like a sheepdog out there constantly keeping the flock on the path. Okay? Therefore, thus saith the Lord, power of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, said the Lord. See? So if we ain't staying on point, we're not barking and nipping at the heels of our people, teaching and preaching the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, we're subject to have evil sent upon us. Right? It says, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord. So the Most High is has risen up men to actually guide the flock. And that's the men of Great Millstone, man. It's just true. You can have people get mad and hate, but it's just true. Play some more of this.
So it says by the door into the sheepfold. So we're like doorkeepers. Didn't King David say, not too many words, I'd rather be a doorkeeper than a porter in the kingdom? Right? Somebody give me that precept. I'm not going to go to it. Climb it up some other way. Nah, man. I'm not joining GMS because they's talking about raping little girls. Or I don't see that MOTB thing. I see it being a philosophy or this, that, and the third. Like I said, keep the same energy when they make that announcement, and you got to go ahead and get it. Because some of y'all, when the C Ragamuffin came out, y'all went ahead and got it. Y'all ready? Can we get it? To your teacher, your master teachers, and your master teachers told you, yes, go ahead and get it. One guy, Johanna, said, go ahead and get it. Get it. You afraid of needles. So when I see him say that, I said, this man's fucking sold out. The same as a thief and a robber, but he that enters into the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, which is Yahweh Shai, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. So you got,
And so to develop that type of relationship with the sheep takes diligence and time and consistency. Like I said, this is why you see Great Millstone brothers all across the four corners of the earth constantly putting up videos, man. These videos are going up pretty much. If you have a healthy subscription to Great Millstone, it's endless. It's an endless stream of edification, news updates, breakdowns of prophecies, going into the history. You know what I'm saying? Going into different prayers and looking into the Hebrew to get a deeper understanding of the meaning and script and an understanding of the scripture. You know, and the people that are serious in this thing, they hear the voice of Yahweh Shem Yahushua through the men of the Lord. All right, through that diligence.
people that say, oh, the MOTB is an embargo, it's sin in all of its forms, whether it be political or religious, it's this, it's that. It was talking about during the time of Nero, you had to use his coin, and if you didn't worship Nero, you couldn't buy or sell, which is all BS. And that's why these people, like, I'm dealing with IUIC, they follow Nate because they're not of the elect. Now, some of them are elect. Well, it's the only time will tell.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's clear if you thinking that the MOTB is an embargo or some weirdo stuff, you don't hear the voice. They don't know. You don't know the voice of the shepherd. You through. You're a stranger. You know. But the point of what I want to keep is just when you see the shepherd, when you see the sheep, it's not going to be some soft, cuddly thing. It's a rough, manly. What's the word? The word. It's like a job. Okay, employment. Okay, you gotta have a mindset for that. I want to read this and then we'll wrap it up. And this is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 10. It says, "Behold, the Lord power will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young, who have measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with a span, and comprehended the dust of earth in the measure, and weighed the mountains in the scales, and the hills in balance." Who's done that? Who have directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor that taught him? Okay, so the Most High has set it up for what? For the people to receive his word, for the people to receive the counsel of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay, through the men of the Lord. And then ultimately, Yahushua, when he returns, who's the ultimate shepherd, is going to gather us up as the flock and lead us out of here, man. But if you're not hearing the calling, if you can't hear the voice, you ain't going to receive it. Sorry about that. I had a patient, but yeah, the whole point is that we're the shepherd, we're the sheepdogs. We're gonna have to keep the flock. It's gonna come off harsh and hardcore sometimes, but that's how you have to be. That's how you have to be in order to keep everybody on the path, even ourselves on the path. We nip and we bark at each other to keep us on the path with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So with that, man, I'm gonna say call hello Yahweh. Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you brothers out there pushing the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, sincerely and true. Shalom.